Hey guys, here's today's shave. I'm going to use Henri and Victoria's triple milled soap today. Cognac and Cuban cigars, as is easy to read on this packaging. The 365 blade from Gillette I'm going to use. We don't see it a lot here as much in the U.S., but it's over internationally. It's a little bit more well known. The blade's going to go in this Wolfman. I believe it's an 85 gap, but the description of the video and stuff will be the clear certainty. It's the WR1 model, a very slim-lined head, and I believe this is a Maggard SHD knot inside of kind of like a shave forge type AliExpress handle. Been soaking for a little while. It has lots of loft, and so that means it's probably going to hold plenty of water. And so the Slurry Lather method that I plan on using today, as I put the brush back in some water, the Slurry Lather method should be very good with this one. I haven't yet tried the Slurry Lather with the Henri and Victoria. I might try to find one of their vegan bases. You know, this Tallow one is a newer one. The vegan one's been around for longer. It's not as good a performer, but it might excel. It might shine a little bit more with the Slurry Lather method. We'll have to see. But let's load up the razor. The 365 blade, I can't find my envelope for it. I think maybe we're looking at maybe 5 uses or something like that. The description will have the right number. Upcoming shaves, because I'm using this Slurry Lather method throughout my soap collection. I'm trying to find as many different soap bases as I can, and I've focused on the most popular ones first. You know, ones like Barrister and Mann and Declaration Grooming and those sorts of things. At least the ones are popular in my circles, right? I did Williams soap because it's just classic. It's not super popular, but it's classic. Although, who knows? I mean, before Williams, no, my theory was that, you know, the people who use Williams might not be as connected in the internet circles because they're just getting a shave done, you know. But then if there were a majority of those people out there, then I don't think Williams would have shut down, right? They wouldn't have discontinued that puck. So maybe that theory is not very good. But upcoming bases that I plan to use are Chiseled Face. This is currently one that's in production. This is their tallow, their silk tallow soap. It's not used a lot because it takes a lot of product to actually make the shave happen. You have to load a lot more or scoop a lot more to get a good lather. Now, the lather you do get can be terrific. It's really good. And so if you haven't gotten to that point with this particular soap, I would keep loading more product, and to make sure you have a lot of water, of course, but keep loading more product. 2 or 3 times as much in terms of scooping was what I needed to do for this particular soap. And the lather I got was great, but it means you're going to go through this soap pretty quick. But of the ones I have left to try that I know of, that I can find right now, it may be one of the only ones that's still in production. However, I think Clar might still be doing its little hard soaps, and so we're gonna. This is one that's been around for a while. There's not much texture to show you there because it's just a flat soap, and it's a hard soap. It comes in this little aluminum container. It's mainly found in the European market, but when I used it, I got some responses back from guys who remember their grandfather using it, you know, that sort of thing, and I think the performance was reasonable for a vintage hard soap. Dr. John's is a great vegan soap maker, but they closed down in the last couple of years, and so that's why this guy, a soap with his base, has not been on my radar to try urgently. But going to try that one out. The Cgnac, of course. Now, I don't know why. I haven't tried this guy out yet. He's been right behind me on the floor, and I just haven't for some reason. Now, the reason that I haven't tried it lately, though, with the Slurry Lather method is because this is the old Tallow puck, and that's not really sold anymore from what I understand. They may still be around a few retailers, but they've switched to vegan, and so it's a little bit less relevant to tell you that the Slurry Lather method works great with the Tallow formula. So that's why I haven't been in a hurry to jump on that one for a little bit. So we've got the cold chiseled face and the claw. All right, so today we're going to use the Henri and Victoria. I believe they're a Canadian maker. I was really glad when they came out with this triple milled version. Yep, and it is Tallow. I thought it was. And they are Canadian. So the brush has been soaking long enough. Let me get my face wet. I did use some clippers to bring down my growth just to make the lathering a little bit easier. I had 2 weeks or something like that of growth on before, and it just makes the shave a little easier. Now, most razors will take down, most good razors will take down 3 weeks of growth without a problem, even if they're not open comb, for me at least. But I just felt like having a little bit better lather, and plus we're experimenting with a new soap and the method of the slurry, and so I didn't want to make that be an obstacle or a potential inhibiting factor for that method. Okay, so I'm going to pick the brush out of the water. You can see it's got tons in it. I can feel it's got quite a bit of water in it. A little bit of shaking, because otherwise it's just going to kind of come out there. I think we're pretty much good. I still feel a good bit of weight in there. Let's load until we see a froth come up that's got a little bit of thickness to it. That's not just totally watery. 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70. All right, we've got, it's a soupy froth in there, but I kind of feel like 70 might be plenty. Let me let that, one of the things I do is I pour that soupy mess that you can see under the brush right there maybe. I pour that into my lather bowl so that I can kind of refresh my brush with it. Let me do that. All right. Not going to use the bowl for mixing up a lather, just for kind of holding the brush there. All right, let's go. So this method, if you are new to my channel, I've been doing it for a while now, mainly for experimenting purposes. I don't know that I'm going to adopt it all the time, but I probably will use it anytime I'm in a hurry. That's where it really excels. So we are going to use a lot of water in the brush and not work on a lather at this point. We're going to stop. We just got kind of that frother. The reason that I named it this is the slurry on my face. This is a pretty mild Wolfman, so if this goes well, then it's just further proof you don't really need to buy most people don't need to buy something super aggressive to be able to shave off multiple days of growth, unless you just want to. And that's coming off nicely with these, shorter strokes. I mean, sure, if you take a mild razor like this and use long strokes, then yeah, you're going to bog down your razor. But these shorter strokes work great. I kind of use the short strokes even when I'm not shaving a lot of hair off. 365 is one that I hadn't known about for a very long time, and it's been doing really well. I think it's primarily in maybe like the Indian market or the Asian market across on the other side of the world. All right, a little rinse or a splash of water. And then back to putting the slurry back on my face. It should usually thicken up just a bit more this time. And that's really all we need. It's very slick. You don't have to go mature lather because after all, this method is for speed. But I mean, you could if you wanted to, if you got the time. But by the third pass, in many cases, that's when you experience that kind of more luxurious, creamy, mature lather. So it's kind of nice to finish off your shave with the good stuff, right? But the point of the slurry lather method is to take advantage of the fact that that slurry, that froth in the beginning is very, very slick. And this blade is working very well in this razor. I could feel it more on the first pass just due to all that stubble. Splash of water. And that's working very well. So 70, I believe, was the number of swirls. I just recorded that just for curiosity's sake, because if something went wrong and it never kind of came together, then I could try a different number next time or something like that. But and look, right now we've got a luxurious creamy lather here. But since we came from the starting point of the high amount of water, it's still very, very slick. And my face felt very smooth on that last kind of rinse. And so I know I'm getting a good close shave. And this last pass, especially on my cheeks, is mainly just doing some touch-ups and cleanups. And there we go. Get a good rinse now. That's a terrific shave, super comfortable. Blade and razor worked well together, and the slurry lather method was fairly fast, even with me taking time to do things that you don't really have to do when you shave. And so one of the things that, if you're new to this method and you wonder as you look at your brush at the end of the shave here, obviously that's like another pass of lather just hanging on around the brush. You could ask yourself, did I load too long? Those 70 swirls, was that too much? Well, one of the things you can do, put a little water in your bowl, or in a bowl, a teaspoon, maybe 2 teaspoons, not a lot, and then start working. Let me tilt you down. And start working the lather in the bowl as if you're going to bowl lather. Now with that much water, if I end up with a creamy lather, then yeah, I did load too long, or I could load for less time if I wanted to. It'll start out kind of wet and soupy, but look, it's starting to cream up and it's starting to firm up. If it stays airy after you mix, then that's a sign that maybe you did not overload. But look here, this is good, pretty good stuff here. And it could actually, okay, look. When I press down in the bowl and I go around, the bottom with the brush expanded and smushed, look what we get. That shelf around the top. You know what that means? That means I could have more water if I wanted to. And so, yeah, I did not need to load for this long. Matter of fact, I could probably add water, and with everything here, I could do a whole new shave with about 4 passes of lather. So that's just good information for you to know that next time you can load for less time, use up less soap. Now, this is not a whole lot of soap here. We're probably talking about half a gram or something like that is what it takes to make this amount of lather. And so you're not super wasteful when you do this. If you do happen to overload. So I wouldn't sweat it, but why overload if you don't need to? So, and that was from a puck that hadn't been used in years. Okay, and so your load time is going to be less if you keep using the same puck over and over. Especially with coming at it with such a wet brush, because that does impart water to the soap, leaves some water behind each time, and so gradually you can reduce your load time, your swirl count, or your time if you choose that method. Well, the brush was great today. This is not an old knot. It's fairly newish, I think. The person who had it before me didn't use it too many times, and so it's normal to have some shedding like this in the beginning. First 60 shaves, honestly, I wouldn't worry too much about shedding. So I rinsed it out, important to do, slung it out in the sink. I'm going to strap it on the towel before I set it to dry. And face up is just fine. Once you've strapped it on the towel, you don't have any standing water, so it's a myth that you need to hang it upside down for drying. You don't need to buy a drying rack. In fact, many times a drying rack that you might buy over time with the little fork that's used, if it's metal, especially like those inexpensive ones, they'll put marks on your handle where they contact it. If you have a nice brush, you may not want that. After the shave, let's do Diamond from Barrister and Mann. It's a balm. My face is still wet, so this should spread around easily. I don't need a whole lot of nourishment. You can use more product if you do. And so the fact that my face is wet, that helps me to not use more than I need and make it spread easier. If it spreads at a dry state of your skin, and unless you use tons of product, then you can actually bring a little kind of razor burn irritation to your skin with all that friction. All right, terrific, smells good. Cap up the Cognac and Cuban cigars. I gave it a rinse earlier so the threads don't have any soap on them. Oh, that Diamond, oh, that's a good smell. I like that. That's it for today's shave, folks. I hope that helps you out in some way. This is Sugar Daddy Shaves. Good night.